The shocking truth about Hollywood legends who were heavy drinkers. Hollywood, where the halo lights up dreams, and also where souls quietly fade away in the darkness. Behind the smiles in front of the camera, there are hearts screaming in alcohol. Why do so many silver screen legends fall into addiction? Is fame really a reward, or just a glamorous trap that they cannot retreat from? Rita Hworth, the muse who once captivated the whole world. Why did she end her life in loneliness and strong alcohol? Judy Garland, Richard Burton, or Mickey Rourke? What did they seek in each empty glass of wine? Liberation, or just another way to forget themselves? Let's look back at the stars of the past and the dark corners they could not escape. Anthony Hopkins, from Hell of Alcohol to Living Cinema Monument. In the minds of millions of people, the name Anthony Hopkins is associated with the icy eyes and creepy smile of Hannibal Lecter, the classic role that brought him an Oscar in The Silence of the Lambs. But few people know that, before becoming a Hollywood monument, Hopkins was once on the brink of collapse because of alcohol. Born on December 31st, 1937 in Wales, UK, Anthony Hopkins is not the type of person who seeks the limelight for passion. He once said that he pursued acting because he was not good at anything else, and it was that uncertainty that made him turn to alcohol early, as a way to escape reality. Throughout his 20s and 30s, Hopkins drank as if he wanted to destroy himself. He was angry, irresponsible, and often woke up in strange places without remembering why he was there. He once described that state as a kind of slow suicide. His budding acting career was nearly drowned in alcohol. But then came a turning point in 1975. In a rare moment of clarity, he realized, stop or die. He joined Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and has never looked back. Anthony Hopkins stopped drinking completely and has remained sober for nearly 50 years. What's remarkable is that he not only overcame alcohol, but also turned his recovery journey into a source of inspiration. On social media, he often shares positive messages, lessons about gratitude, perseverance, and self-forgiveness. At over 80 years old, he still acts, plays piano, paints, and most importantly, lives a life he thought he would never have. Anthony Hopkins is more than just a great actor. He is living proof of the power of choice, that sometimes just one moment of courage, one decisive decision, can turn your whole life around. Robert Shaw, the great real-life sailor and the alcoholic tragedy. Behind the silver screen, Robert Shaw, the name associated with the role of Captain Quint in the blockbuster Jaws, once made audiences around the world shiver with his deep voice, icy eyes, and the demeanor of a man of experience. Born on August 9th, 1927 in England, Shaw was not only an actor, he was also a writer, a playwright with a complex inner life, and a man obsessed with alcohol. Although he left his mark in a series of classic works, such as From Russia with Love or The Sting, Robert Shaw carried with him a darkness that could not be hidden: chronic alcoholism. He often drank Scotch whiskey, regardless of whether he was filming or resting. On the set of Jaws, the habit of drinking made everything tense. Shaw and co-star Richard Dreyfuss had so many conflicts that Dreyfuss once threw his glass into the sea just to prevent a scene from falling apart. It is said that when sober, Shaw was polite, humorous, and kind. But just a few sips of alcohol turned him into a different person: hot-tempered, unpredictable, and lonely. Alcohol gradually eroded his relationships, reduced his acting ability, and corroded his heart. On August 28, 1978, Robert Shaw died suddenly of a heart attack while driving near his home in Ireland. He passed away at the age of 51, a death believed to be the result of years of alcohol and tobacco addiction. Although his life was shortened by bad choices, Robert Shaw remained an icon, an actor of depth, who brought to cinema characters that were gritty, real, and never forgotten. Like Quint himself, he lived like a warrior at sea, strong, free, but also lonely amid the undercurrents that no one understood. Glenn Ford, the silver screen hero and his secret battle with alcohol. Glenn Ford, in The Man with the Determined Face and Righteous Eyes, was once the embodiment of the hero in classic Hollywood films such as Gilda, The Big Heat, and Superman. 1978. Born in Canada but moving to the United States as a child, he quickly became one of the most beloved actors of the Golden Age. But behind the spotlight and brave roles, Glenn Ford struggled quietly with a silent enemy: alcohol. Ford's personal life was not smooth. A series of failed relationships, along with loneliness and the pressure of fame, made him turn to alcohol as a soothing medicine. At first it was just small drinks, but gradually drinking became a daily habit, ingrained in his lifestyle and health. Friends and relatives said he gradually lost himself, became weaker, less active, and appeared less in public. Glenn Ford's career slowed down, and he withdrew from Hollywood in his later years. He lived a quieter life, but his health was also failing due to years of alcohol abuse. On August 30th, 2006, Glenn Ford died at the age of 90. Although he outlived many of his contemporaries, he suffered from serious health problems such as heart disease and strokes, largely as a result of his heavy drinking. Despite his tragedy, Glenn Ford's film legacy remains vibrant, and his portrayal of heroic, righteous characters continues to live on in the hearts of fans around the world. Drew Barrymore, the angel and the darkness behind the light. Drew Barrymore, the innocent face that touched the world in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, is not only an actress, but also a living testament to the power to overcome adversity. Born on February 22, 1975 in California, she entered Hollywood when she was just a child, but the spotlight soon swallowed her childhood. While other children were still playing with dolls, Drew was introduced to alcohol at the age of 9. At 12, she used cocaine. Life in a famous family and the uncontrolled partying environment in Hollywood pushed the little girl into a spiral of stimulants and mental trauma. At 14, Drew had to go to rehab. She once cut her wrists. The angel girl of that year became a symbol of the lost path of a generation of child stars. Famous too early, maturing too fast, and falling too young. But Drew's story doesn't end in darkness. She rose up not just to live, but to live meaningfully. She gradually rebuilt her career, becoming an actress, producer, author, and now a popular TV host with The Drew Barrymore Show. Drew Barrymore shares her journey of sobriety honestly, without embellishment or drama, but as a friend telling the story to help others. She didn't just survive, she won. Today, Drew is a symbol not only of talent, but also of hope and rebirth. And her story reminds us that, even in the darkest moments, there is always a way out, if we don't give up. Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia and the silent battle off-screen. Carrie Fisher, the legendary Princess Leia of the Star Wars series, is not only a pop culture icon, she is also a brave woman who has spent her life fighting, not against the Empire in space, but against the darkness within her own soul. Born on October 21st, 1956 in California, Carrie was born into a famous artistic family, but the halo could not hide her loneliness. She started drinking and using cocaine at a very young age, as a way to escape the pressure of fame, expectations, and a mental illness that she could not control. Carrie Fisher was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a disease that caused her mood to fluctuate wildly, from the peak of excitement to the depths of despair. In times of crisis, she turned to alcohol and drugs as temporary relief. But those things also made her life more chaotic. She was in and out of rehab, and she fought relentlessly to stay sober. And while she didn't always win, Carrie Fisher never hid the truth. In her memoir, Wishful Drinking, she tells her story with humor, depth, and honesty, as if she were writing not for her fans, but for those who were as desperate as she was. On December 27, 2016, Carrie Fisher died at the age of 60 of a heart attack while flying from London to Los Angeles. Medical reports later showed that she still had traces of alcohol and drugs in her system, traces of a never-ending battle. But her legacy is more than just a movie character. Carrie Fisher is remembered as an icon of courage, uncompromising honesty, and the strength of a woman who stood up, even when no one asked her to. To millions of fans, Carrie is more than just Princess Leia. She's a real-life warrior. Bernard Lee, James Bond's boss, and his fight with his own shadow. Bernard Lee, who played M, James Bond's boss in the first films, is one of the indispensable icons of the world of cinematic spies. Born on January 10th, 1908 in England, he is known for his serious, authoritative acting style, the model of a tough, trustworthy commander. However, behind that strong appearance is a life full of pain and fierce inner battles. Bernard Lee struggled with severe alcoholism and depression, which stemmed from deep personal tragedies that he could not overcome. His wife died in a tragic house fire, and he was attacked and robbed. Great mental trauma that made him drown himself in alcohol to forget the pain. During filming, he was even locked in his dressing room to prevent him from drinking, but he still managed to sneak a drink through a straw under the door. Even other famous actors such as Richard Burton have admitted that they could not drink as much as Bernard Lee. His alcoholism became a prominent part of his personal life, seriously affecting his health and career. On January 16th, 1981, at the age of 73, Bernard Lee died of stomach cancer, a disease that was partly accelerated by his unhealthy lifestyle and excessive drinking. He was originally scheduled to appear in James Bond, For Your Eyes Only, but was too ill to contribute. Although his life ended in tragedy, Bernard Lee is still remembered as one of the greatest actors in the James Bond series. His image, the stern, steadfast commander, lives on in the hearts of fans around the world. Bela Lugosi, legendary Dracula, and the battle with addiction. Bela Lugosi, born on October 20th, 1882 in Hungary, is one of the greatest horror movie stars in Hollywood history. He became immortal with the role of Dracula in the 1931 film Dracula, a ghostly, mysterious figure with a deep, enchanting voice. In addition, he also appeared in many other classic horror films, such as White Zombie and The Black Cat. However, behind the halo and success was a life full of pain and struggle with addiction. Lugosi was dependent on morphine and alcohol, using them to control chronic pain. Over time, this habit became out of control, leading to severe addiction and frequent drunkenness. Addiction seriously damaged his career. Many directors hesitated to hire him because they could not guarantee that he would be sober on set. Isolation, unhappiness, and struggles with addiction ultimately destroyed Bela Lugosi's once glorious career. He died on August 16th, 1956, at the age of 73, after suffering a heart attack in his sleep. He was living in poverty and largely forgotten. Yet his portrayal of Dracula lives on in the hearts of his fans, becoming a classic icon and an inspiration for generations of horror actors. Leonard Nemoy, The Legend of Mr. Spock and the Journey to Overcome Alcoholism. Leonard Nemoy, born on March 26, 1931 in Massachusetts, USA, is an actor, director, and writer who is famous worldwide for his role as Mr. Spock in the Star Trek television series and films. His character, the rational and calm Vulcan, is loved and admired by millions of fans around the world. However, behind the halo, Leonard Nemoy once struggled with serious alcoholism. He used alcohol as a way to cope with the pressure and stress that lasted throughout his time working on the set. William Shatner, his co-star, once shared that Nemoy used alcohol to avoid the difficulties in life and the burden of fame. At first, Nemoy believed that he could control his drinking, but gradually one drink turned into many drinks, and he found it increasingly difficult to control himself. Eventually, he realized he needed help and decided to seek out addiction rehabilitation programs. As a result, Nemoy overcame his addiction and remained sober for the rest of his life. Leonard Nemoy died on February 27, 2015, at the age of 83, from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, a serious illness that he attributed to years of smoking, even though he had quit smoking 30 years earlier. Although he has passed away, Leonard Nemoy is still loved by fans around the world. His role as Mr. Spock is not only an icon of science fiction, but also a lasting legacy in the history of cinema. Ava Gardner, beauty icon in her battle with alcoholism. Ava Gardner, born on December 24, 1922 in North Carolina, USA, was one of the most famous Hollywood actresses in the 1940s and 1950s. She made her mark through many classic films such as The Killers, Mambo, and The Night of the Iguana. With her captivating beauty, strong personality, and free-spirited lifestyle, Ava quickly became an icon of the big screen. However, in addition to her fame, Ava Gardner also encountered many difficulties in life, especially a serious problem with alcoholism. She loved to party and often drank whiskey, tequila, and other strong drinks. Her alcohol abuse made her loud, wild, and sometimes difficult to work with. Ava was once married to Frank Sinatra, another Hollywood legend, but their relationship was also heavily affected by alcohol and arguments. She also smoked heavily, which caused her health to decline over time. Despite her advanced age, Ava Gardner did not give up her drinking habit. She died on January 25, 1990, at the age of 67, at her home in London after years of struggling with health problems related to drinking and smoking, including pneumonia and 2 strokes. Despite her ups and downs, Ava Gardner is still remembered as one of Hollywood's greatest actresses. Fans still admire her talent, beauty, and strong spirit. Andre the giant with a kind heart in the tragedy of alcohol. Andrei René Roussimoff, better known as the legendary Andre the Giant, was born on May 19, 1946 in France. With acromegaly, his body grew far beyond that of a normal person, reaching 2 meters 24 centimeters tall and weighing more than 230 kilograms. His giantness not only made him the 8th wonder of the world in the wrestling world, but also an unforgettable icon in cinema with his role in The Princess Bride. But hidden behind that great body was constant physical pain, and alcohol became his way of coping. Andre drank like no other. Some said he drank 119 glasses of beer in 6 hours. Others said he drank 40 glasses of vodka in one night. Friends said he drank like everyone else breathed, not for fun, but to ease the persistent pain caused by the terrible disease. That tolerance gradually became a dangerous habit. Andre collapsed many times in hotel lobbies, in public places, just because he drank too much. Although many people worried and tried to help, he never really stopped. On January 27, 1993, during a trip to Paris for his father's funeral, he passed away forever in his sleep at the age of 46. The cause, heart failure, combined with his oversized body and years of heavy drinking. Although he is gone, Andre the Giant's legacy lives on. In the hearts of WWE fans, he is not just a giant, but a symbol of difference, determination, and even human tragedy. His name still echoes in the WWE Hall of Fame, where legends never die. Carrie Grant, the charming gentleman in the unexpected hidden corner. Born as Archibald Alexander Leach on January 18, 1904 in England, Cary Grant was not only a movie icon, he was the definition of elegance, charm, and the most refined acting of the golden age of Hollywood. After moving to America, he quickly conquered the audience with his handsome appearance, smooth voice, and unmistakable gentlemanly style. Classic films such as North by Northwest, To Catch a Thief, or Charade have engraved Cary Grant's name in the hearts of many generations of viewers. But behind that perfect appearance was a silent battle with alcoholism. Although he drank heavily throughout his career, Cary almost never admitted it to the public. He maintained such a neat image that almost no one believed that inside was a man who once desperately sought LSD therapy, a controversial treatment method at that time. In the 1950s, Cary Grant was one of the first stars to try medically supervised LSD therapy to treat alcoholism. He claimed that LSD freed his soul, making him more positive and self-aware. He even recommended the drug to many of his famous friends. Unlike many other stars, Cary Grant's addiction did not destroy his career. As he got older, he learned to control it, maintaining his style and charisma until the end of his life. On November 29, 1986, while preparing for a speech in Iowa, he suddenly suffered a stroke and passed away at the age of 82. His death was shocking because he always maintained a youthful, elegant appearance, even in his later years. Today, Cary Grant remains an irreplaceable monument of Hollywood. His films are still shown and loved, and his image as a gallant gentleman, with both his bright lights and his quiet corners, still makes people admire him. Joan Crawford, the tragedy behind the glow of a Hollywood icon. Joan Crawford, the name associated with the golden age of Hollywood, is the embodiment of a strong, determined woman who never backed down. Born on March 23, 1904 in Texas, she rose from an unknown dancer to become one of the brightest stars on the American silver screen. With her role in Mildred Pierce, she not only won the prestigious Oscar, but also affirmed her position among the stars. Films like Whatever Happened to Baby Jane or Grand Hotel turned Joan into an icon, not only because of her acting, but also because of her proud and cold, magical aura. But behind the spotlight was a darkness that lasted throughout her life: alcoholism. Joan drank a lot, at home, on set, even hiding alcohol in every corner of the house. Those close to her said that she was difficult to approach, often angry, especially when drunk. Her marriage to PepsiCo CEO Alfred Steele did not curb her addiction. When she went on business trips or vacations, she always made sure to bring enough alcohol with her. Not only did her addiction destroy her health, it also pushed her away from those closest to her. The memoir Mommy Dearest by her adopted daughter Christina Crawford brought back the dark side, a cold, even violent mother, hidden behind the image of a perfect star. Although still controversial, the book made the public see Joan Crawford in a very different light for the first time, not just as a star, but as a wounded person. In her later years, Joan gave up drinking and lived a quiet, devout life. She refused medical treatment for her cancer and passed away quietly on May 10, 1977, in her New York apartment at the age of 73. Today, despite her reputation being overshadowed by allegations and a shocking book, Joan Crawford remains one of the greatest actresses in American cinema history. Her career, talent, and irresistible charm, albeit controversial, continue to captivate posterity. Dennis Price, talent buried in the shadow of alcohol and prejudice. Dennis Price, the elegant man with a cold face and sharp eyes, was once a British cinema icon of the 1940s to 50s. Born on June 23, 1915, he quickly rose to fame with his legendary role in Kind Hearts and Coronets, playing a gentleman who killed 8 relatives in succession to achieve the title of Duke. That role not only brought great fame, but also engraved his name in the history of British cinema. However, behind the stage aura was a lost and wounded soul. Dennis Price struggled with depression and the pain of having to hide his sexual orientation, which was considered illegal and stigmatized in society at that time. The pressure of living a double life, combined with prolonged loneliness, gradually caused him to sink into alcohol. He drank from morning to night, starting his day with a pint of Guinness and ending it with a whiskey. He often arrived on set with a bag full of alcohol, and more than once got so drunk that he couldn't act. His career gradually declined. In 1954, he attempted suicide by sticking his head in a gas stove, but was saved by a maid who discovered him in time. In his later years, Dennis Price had to accept small roles, even in low-budget horror films, to make a living. He lived alone on a small island in the English Channel, gradually becoming forgotten. On October 6, 1973, he died at the age of 58 from cirrhosis of the liver, the result of years of alcoholism. Although he ended his life in silence and sadness, with Kind Hearts and Coronets and many other roles, Dennis Price is still remembered by fans as an outstanding talent, an actor of depth, and also a victim of a prejudiced era. Michael Landon, the model father on screen and the darkness behind the scenes. To millions of American audiences, Michael Landon is the embodiment of the ideal father, strong, loving, and always sacrificing for his family. Through his classic roles in Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, and Highway to Heaven, he has carved a deep image of a model man into the public mind. But in real life, Michael Landon's life is a contrasting picture, where the warm smile on screen is obscured by alcohol, cigarette smoke, and smoldering pain. Born in 1936 in New York, Michael soon entered Hollywood and quickly became one of the most prominent television actors in America. However, the pressure of success, childhood trauma, and a complicated family life led him to turn to alcohol and cigarettes as a way to comfort himself. He often mixed whiskey with his morning coffee, replaced vodka with soda, and smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day, a dangerous habit that few people realized was behind his upbeat exterior. Even those closest to him did not understand the severity of his condition. His adopted daughter, actress Melissa Gilbert, later shared that witnessing her father's alcoholism influenced her choice of partners, as she was always attracted to men who had the same wounds as him. In 1991, Michael Landon received the devastating news. He was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer, an extremely aggressive disease. Doctors believed that his long-term drinking and smoking habits had contributed to the severity of his condition. Less than 3 months later, he passed away at the age of 54, at home, surrounded by his family, quietly and peacefully. Although his life was short and full of dark corners, Michael Landon's legacy lives on. His shows continue to air, inspiring compassion, tolerance, and the meaning of family, just like the man he always tried to be. Robin Williams, comedy legend, in his battle with alcoholism. Robin Williams, born July 21, 1951, in Illinois, USA, is an actor and comedian known for his energetic and humorous performance style. He made his mark with classic films such as Mrs. Doubtfire, Good Will Hunting, Aladdin, and Dead Poets Society. He won an Oscar for his role in Good Will Hunting and is loved by the world. Robin struggled with alcohol and drug addiction in the 1970s and 1980s. After the death of his friend Jean Belushi from a drug overdose in 1982, he decided to quit and maintain sobriety for 20 years. However, in 2003, he started drinking again, initially thinking he could control it, but then fell back into addiction. He went to rehab several times and tried to overcome his addiction. Despite his personal struggles, Robin Williams continued to entertain and inspire audiences through his films and stand-up comedy. He died on August 11, 2014, at the age of 63, of an apparent suicide at his home in California. After his death, it was discovered that he had Lewy body dementia, a serious brain disease that causes confusion, depression, and memory loss. Robin Williams is still remembered as one of the greatest comedians and actors of all time, with a legacy of work and laughter that continues to resonate with audiences around the world. Albert Finney, the resilient artist, and his journey to overcome the darkness of alcoholism. Albert Finney was born on May 9, 1936 in England, and is one of the most talented and influential actors in world cinema. With a deep voice, powerful demeanor, and diverse acting ability, he has conquered the hearts of millions of audiences through his roles in classic films such as Tom Jones, Murder on the Orient Express, Aaron Brockovich, and Scott Pilgrim. Every time he appears on screen, he is not only an actor, but also an artist who fully expresses the soul and emotions of the character. However, behind the halo of his illustrious career, Albert Finney also faced difficult challenges in his personal life. He struggled with alcoholism, a problem that is not uncommon in the artistic world, but has always been a brutal and painful battle. As a young man, Finney regularly drank beer and whiskey in large quantities, to the point that he admitted to drinking several pints of beer at lunchtime and then continuing in the evening. That lifestyle gradually became a burden, not only affecting his physical health, but also overshadowing many aspects of his life and career. The light of hope appeared when Finney was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 1984. This was the moment he realized the seriousness of the problem and realized that his life needed to change if he wanted to continue standing on the stage of the art he loved. With a strong will, he decided to gradually reduce alcohol, focusing on treatment and taking care of himself. This journey was not easy, but Finney bravely faced and won himself. Albert Finney passed away on February 7, 2019, at the age of 82, in a hospital in London, after many years of persistently fighting cancer. Although he has passed away, his artistic legacy and his indomitable spirit will live on in the hearts of fans everywhere. He is remembered not only as a great actor, but also as a living testament to the power of the human spirit, to overcoming difficulties and finding oneself even in the deepest darkness. Rita Hworth, the goddess of love and the challenging journey through the darkness. Rita Hworth was born on October 17, 1918 in New York, USA. She was not only a talented actress, but also an excellent dancer, who became the most beautiful and seductive symbol of Hollywood in the 1940s and 1950s. Films such as Gilda, Covergirl, and The Woman from Shanghai helped her to be recorded in the history of cinema as the goddess of love. an image that was both legendary and attractive. However, behind the halo and the stage lights, Rita's life was a series of painful internal struggles. She began to seek alcohol as a way to soothe her mental pain, the pressure of fame and broken marriages. Rita had been through 5 marriages, including a romantic and stormy relationship with Orson Welles. But the trauma in her personal life gradually caused her to sink deeper into serious alcoholism. The addiction not only affected her health, but also shook her career. There were times when Rita forgot her lines right on the set, sometimes even unable to go to work, which caused her to lose many valuable opportunities. Those close to her said that she often fell into a state of confusion, anger, and forgetfulness, leading people to mistakenly think that it was just the result of drinking too much. However, the truth was much more heartbreaking. After many years of suffering and hiding, doctors discovered that Rita Hworth had Alzheimer's disease, a brain disease that causes memory loss and cognitive decline. For many years, she had to fight this terrible disease in the midst of misunderstanding and prejudice from society, when people still thought it was the result of alcoholism. After Rita passed away on May 14, 1987, at the age of 68, her daughter Yasmin Khan spent years tirelessly raising awareness of Alzheimer's disease, helping to dispel myths about the disease. Despite her trials and tribulations, Rita Hworth is remembered as a Hollywood icon, a great actress, and a courageous woman. Her legacy, her films, her mesmerizing performances, lives on in the hearts of fans around the world, continuing to inspire and inspire over time. Lon Cheney Jr., the legendary Wolfman, in his battle with alcoholism. Lon Cheney Jr., born on February 10, 1906 in Oklahoma, USA, is the son of Lon Cheney, a legend of silent films. He became famous for his monster roles in classic horror films, most notably The Wolfman. Besides, he also appeared in films such as Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Despite his successful career, Lon Cheney Jr. also faced great health and mental challenges due to severe alcoholism. He used alcohol as a way to cope with stress and depression in his life. Alcohol abuse seriously affected his work and health. Sometimes he was so drunk that he could not remember his lines while filming, and his behavior became unpredictable, even aggressive. Lon Cheney Jr. was once banned from a famous mansion for trying to get another actress drunk. His long-term alcoholism led to serious health problems, including liver disease and cancer. He died on July 12, 1973, at the age of 67 from liver failure and heart disease, the result of years of heavy drinking. Despite this, Lon Cheney Jr. is still remembered as one of the greatest horror movie stars in Hollywood history. His role as the Wolverine remains an irreplaceable icon in horror cinema. Mary Aster, Hollywood star, in her battle against alcoholism. Mary Aster, born on May 3, 1906 in Illinois, USA, was a famous actress in the 1920s and 1930s. She made her mark with her roles in classic films such as The Maltese Falcon and The Great Lie, the latter of which won her an Academy Award. Mary Aster was known for her glamorous beauty and excellent dramatic acting ability. However, Mary also struggled with alcoholism for many years. She began drinking due to the stress of her failed marriage and the pressures of her career. Her alcoholism became more serious in the 1930s, causing her to frequently drink while working and causing many difficulties in her personal life. During her divorce and custody battle with her daughter, Mary Aster was accused of being unfit to be a mother due to her alcoholism, based on her personal diaries that were used as evidence. However, she made efforts to overcome her addiction and change her life. Mary Aster died on September 25, 1987, at the age of 81. In her later years, she focused on writing, publishing 2 autobiographies and several novels. Despite her struggles with alcoholism, Mary Aster is remembered as one of the great classic actresses of Hollywood. Her performances in classic works are still highly regarded by fans and critics to this day. Sometimes the truth is darker than fiction, and what you've just seen is only the tip of the iceberg. Who do you think is still hiding shocking secrets? Drop their name in the comments, and they might be featured in our next video. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because even crazier twists are coming your way. See you soon, And remember, in showbiz, the drama never sleeps.